right, so we've got our brand new 5/6 combination machine, and we're working on a 6-inch gutter job right now. We're just printing out the last trough for this building, which is going to be about 65 feet long. And we use a 6-inch quick screw hanger. They're very strong. They're a lot safer. It keeps guys from having to reach in their pocket to pick up screws as they go. And they are the best hardware on the market for hanging trough, very reliable. To this date, we've still never had one of these hangers fail or break. As you can see, the machine runs very smooth. These machines, once you have them adjusted and running well, you virtually don't have to touch them again for years. And so we're running out 65-foot trough, 66 feet. That's getting up there. We've run them as long as 100 feet, but today we're running 65 because we're working off of boom lifts, and that's about all we can manage off of a boom lift. If we have enough guys and enough ladders, we can run quite a bit longer, to be honest. Just gonna pause there for a second and just get it up on the stand. We're out at about 45 feet right now, so we're gonna run out another 15 feet, and then we're gonna pause and wait for our guys up on the building to get us a final measurement. We know we're gonna be 60 feet plus, so we're gonna stop at about 60 feet and put in hangers. That's 52, 54. So this is a new thing for us this year. We've been running 5-inch gutters for the last number of years, and we've had so many requests commercially and agriculturally for larger volume gutters that we decided to make an investment this year and get the 6-inch machine, and it's been fantastic. There we go. We'll finish off the last couple of feet here and wait for our final measurement. All right, so that's 60 feet right there. So as you can see, we're working off of a scissor lift and a boom lift, and it's actually in some ways more difficult than working off of ladders. With ladders, we can put more guys up at the same time. Boom lifts, we only have 2 points from where we can hold on to that trough. If we have guys on ladders, we can literally do 100 feet plus. We could do 200 feet if we had enough guys and enough ladders. Today we're limited by the height of the building and the access that we have to the boom lifts in this case. So this building is 250 feet long. We're gonna do it in several pieces, and which really isn't a big deal, but this is actually the tail end of a half-mile long gutter job between 3 different buildings ranging from 250 feet long all the way up to 400 feet long. It's been a fantastic job. We've been here for a week, and we're just at the tail end of it right now. I've got a great crew of guys, very meticulous, great attention to detail, very safety conscious, very capable, and it's just great. I know the job's always going to get done well, and yeah, very proud of this crew. So some people will ask, well, why a 5-inch versus a 6-inch? Well, 6 inches is obviously going to cost more money, so you would apply that when you need it, not when you don't need it. On a typical residential home, we do a 5-inch standard gutter. That is what 99% of all residential gutters are going to be. They're going to be a 5-inch gutter. But in a situation where you have a very large roof area, such as a commercial building like this, where you're going to have you have to catch water from a really large area, you're going to want a larger gutter to catch the water. And we're also doing a larger downpipe, which I can show you here. This is not our standard downpipe. This is a 3x4 downpipe. It's actually just about double the volume. So when you go with a larger gutter to catch the water, you also need a larger downpipe to get rid of it fast. And that's the situation where you're going to go with a 6-inch gutter. We do get requests from time to time to put 6-inch gutters on residential, and until this year we didn't have the 6-inch machine, and most people are still satisfied with a 5-inch. But for example, in a residential situation where you have a duplex, triplex, or even a fourplex, you often have a lot more roof area where a 6-inch gutter is quite beneficial. So there are residential applications where a 6-inch gutter is beneficial as well. We add more hangers in a 6-inch gutter to make it stronger because obviously the water and on occasion ice buildup has a lot of weight to it. Our gutters can handle up to 400 pounds per foot of weight depending on how we install them. So we can easily handle that weight, but we have to be aware of that when we put up a high volume gutter, that we also put up the support system to carry that. So we have a fantastic product. We get asked all the time, how do we keep debris out of the trough? My downpipes are plugging. So we have a fantastic product that we really like. It's a product made by a company called Alurex. This product is called Double Pro. And as you can see, it's got 2 layers of filtration. This will keep out even the smallest material. The holes on top keep out the bulk of it, but that second layer is offset from the top layer, and that keeps out the pine needles as well. But as you can see, we actually call this a continuous hanger. It actually snaps onto the back of the trough. Now obviously this is for a 5-inch gutter, it won't actually fit here, but I can kind of demonstrate how that would work. It hooks in the front, snaps onto the back of the gutter, and it actually acts not only as a filter, but as a hanger as well, which allows us to put screws as often as we like, gives us a lot more attachment points. This doubles the weight carrying capacity of the trough. It makes it very, very strong. Even if you're leaning a ladder against your trough, you won't dent it with this product on board. So it acts as a continuous hanger, it acts as a leaf filter, and it strengthens the trough, and we sell a lot of it because of the performance factor. And the other thing we really like about it is it's all aluminum. There's no plastic components to degrade in the sun. It's very strong, it lasts a lifetime. In fact, from the manufacturer, there's a lifetime warranty on this product. So in a situation like this, we're dealing with a steel building. It's a commercial building, 20-foot walls. It's high. There's no overhang on the building. So a couple of things that we want to take into consideration is the ice and snow load coming off that roof. This roof has what you call a snow break trim that'll break up the ice and snow coming off that roof, making smaller pieces. So that's really good. We would ask a customer, if they didn't have it, would you like us to apply a snow break or a brake trim on the roof to break up the snow and ice so it's not coming off in giant sheets? That's number one. We can offer that service in addition to the gutters. Number two, as you can see, we're actually applying our gutters about 5 inches below the roof line. What that does is any sheets of ice or snow coming off the roof, we're out of the line of fire. So it will not hit our trough with momentum, tearing it off the building or causing damage. So we try to think about what's going to be best for performance. A lot of people think, well, is the water not going to overshoot the trough? It actually doesn't come off the roof that momentum. We're still going to hit the trough. We're going to catch all but the most heavy torrential rainfall, in which case the entire yard's getting flooded anyway. So we're going to catch 99% of the water, 99% of the rain, but we're going to stay out of line of fire for ice and snow. We got the snow break on the roof, breaking it up as it comes off. Those are all questions that we want to ask before we finalize our plan. We want to know if there's any other aspects. And we do all of that. We can offer all the metal trims. In fact, there's a lot of other services that we offer in addition to the gutters. But there's a series of questions that are important to answer so that we go into the job prepared to do the best possible job with the best performance. So after we've run out our trough, we got actually this is a lot longer than I was expecting. It's over 70 feet. Then we have our guillotine here. We just give it a good hard pull and it cuts the trough off nice and straight. We get a really nice clean cut. There are times on a building when we have to do inside or outside corners, and that's a different process. So this trough is cut and prepared for a joint because it's a continuous gutter, 250 feet long, but the other end is the end of the gutter, and that has an end cap on it, which is how we finish off, obviously. And you can see now we have our 6-inch quick screw hangers installed every 24 inches. And in fact, what we do on a 6-inch trough like this is we tighten up the spacing a bit, and we'll probably average closer to 20 inches just to give it some more support because it is a bigger trough. It's going to be carrying more weight. So our company is called Keystone Gutter Pro, but we do a lot more than just gutters. Basically, if you look at a building like this is such a great example of what we do. All of the steel, the sheet metal siding and the sheet metal roofing, all of the metal trims, we do all of this. Now this is what we would call a standard rib, exposed fastener, siding and roofing system, but we also do what we call a standing seam hidden fastener system, which you'll see in a lot of commercial buildings as well. All of that is right in our wheelhouse. We've got many years of experience doing this, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger part of what we do. So we're on site longer. We'll sometimes spend weeks on a site if it's a large building, doing all of the exterior cladding as well, the trim outs around the windows and doors. We'll even go so far as to insulate and vapor barrier the interior so that we can also clad the interior with sheet metal. So we have a very capable crew. The crew is growing all the time. The business is growing all the time. And we're always looking for quality help, highly skilled people. And as soon as we add someone like that to the team, it broadens our portfolio of what we can offer. Right now, we're very happy to be able to offer an entire exterior system. So there are situations where people will run without gutters for a period of time. You know, for example, when I built my house, I didn't have gutters for a couple of years. You know, budget gets tight and you think, well, that's not that important. And I ended up getting water in my basement, so I was really happy to get my gutters on. I don't recommend that residentially. On a lot of commercial sites where the drip line isn't that important, they'll go without gutters for a while. So this job site hasn't had gutters for a few years. Like I say, you can get away with that for a while, but what happens over time is your gravel washes out, you start getting sloped towards the building, and you start to compound the problem where water starts to run towards your building, and it can cause issues like water under the foundation and undermining things. They haven't had that problem here. We're getting this rectified before that becomes an issue. But even more importantly, without gutters, you're going to get a lot more ice buildup close to the building where people typically walk, and that becomes a safety hazard. So gutters are actually important not only for the function and performance of your foundation and of your building, but also from a safety standpoint, they prevent a lot of slip and fall accidents. From that standpoint, in a commercial setting, the cost of gutters is more than offset by one lawsuit or hospital visit, losing an employee to a broken leg. Heaven forbid any of that would happen, and we haven't seen that happen, but the economics are there. Having gutters on the building is obviously very cost effective in the long run. So when it comes to downspouts, people often ask how many downspouts will you put on the building. Our general rule of thumb for a residential building is we like to see a downspout for every 40 feet of run. That downspout, a standard downspout is a 2 5/8 downspout, or we can go slightly oversized at 3 by 3 downspout. That will match up to roughly 40 feet of runoff. So if we have an 80-foot gutter, we'd like to see at least 2 downspouts. If we're over 80 feet, then we're going to recommend 3. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Just with the lay of the landscaping, where sidewalks and driveways are, sometimes we're going to go longer than that. But then what we'll try to do is add another downspout somewhere else to carry that volume. In a situation like this, we have a 250-foot building. We're using a 3 by 4 high volume downspout. It's a tall building, it's a long building, but it's actually not that wide. So our roof area is, I would say, a moderate load for a 6-inch trough. So we're going to do one 3 by 4 downpipe every 50 feet. And that will easily manage the water coming off this roof in 99% of the rains we'll get here in Manitoba. Now, having said that, if the customer gives us some feedback later and says, you know, we seem to be in a wet cycle, we're getting a lot of heavy rains, and there's times when our gutters are being overwhelmed, it's not a real big deal for us to come back in and add another downspout here or there as needed, and we've done that on occasion. For example, when a customer phones us residentially and someone else has put gutters on their building, they say, you know what, we don't have enough downspouts. Could you come and install some downspouts for us? And we can very easily do that. Not a problem. Yeah, so more often in a residential application, we would add basically a length of pipe at the bottom here with a hinge that could be flipped up. For example, if a customer wants to mow their grass or do some other work in the area, a lot of people will keep them down and just flip them up when they're mowing. Other people will keep them up and only put them down when it rains. That's totally up to customer preference. But on virtually every downspout we do residentially, we will add a hinged flip down, as we call it, to give them the versatility of moving it out of the way when they need to do other work in the area. It's very easy to forget about that pipe and step on it or damage it, so it's nice to be able to flip it up. Of course, there's always applications where the pipe never needs to go up and it can just stay down, and in a case like that, it's just a little bit different. In a situation like this, a splash pad like this is enough distance away from the building. This is what they call a post frame building, so there's no concrete foundation to be undermined. The posts are drilled down into the ground 8 feet. This is plenty. And the manager of this property mentioned to me yesterday that they're going to be redoing, as you can see, some of this has settled. They're going to be topping up the gravel, giving more slope away from the building. So this is a perfect scenario for these downpipes. Every single job we do has a variable that we have to improvise. Every single job is different. There's no 2 jobs that are the same. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of with this crew, is they're just a great bunch of problem solvers. Each one has different skills and abilities and aptitudes, and together it just makes a really well-rounded, capable team. Very proud of these guys. And that's the last piece of trough on this building. So the next step is they're going to go along and install all the downpipes. We don't always do it this way. If we have more confined space where it's difficult getting the machines in and out, we will do everything in one pass. We have a lot of room here, and there's no threat of rain because we wouldn't want a 250-foot gutter full of rain. But it works really well now to spend the next couple of hours doing the 5 downpipe we need here and then move on to finish this project with one last piece of gutter on a separate building. But basically this went about as smooth as you could hope for.